We'll be outside today, so I'm excited to see how the guys respond, because a lot of our all-season conditioning has been in whatever 70 to 80 degree weather inside. We try to keep the indoor warm, but it hadn't been this warm, so it'll be exciting to see how they respond to going outside and having to practice out in the heat. But we're excited to get back on the field. We got a lot of competition, as you guys well know, a lot of position battles. Like to think we've got more players that can help us from a depth standpoint at this time than we did last year. Obviously, the offensive line is going to be a kind of play by position deal. We're going to be rotating some guys musical chairs through the depth chart. A lot of competition in that position. What you see one day will probably not be what you see the next, because we got a lot of guys to rotate and move around to try to figure out the center guards and tackle positions. A lot of other positions, there'll be great competition, and we're excited about that competition. You know, I've talked to the players extensively about sustainable focus, because that seems to be with a young team, especially the group we had last year, a lot of freshmen and sophomores playing, their ability to focus for long periods of time, 1 hour meeting, 2 hour practice. That's a big emphasis for us, is to continue that. Usually the first day, that's not a problem. But as spring gets along, a lot of guys can get complacent. You worry about guys saying, okay, well, I had my job last year, so I've got my job again this year. It's not the way it's going to be for us. We're going to challenge them to compete every day, and the players that block, tackle, do the things fundamentally well will be the guys who we're able to play. Obviously, we've got some areas we got to improve on, starting with the special teams. That's a big emphasis for us in all the kicking units, and then red area and offense and defense red area. We're going to try to target those areas, do a little extra. A lot of situational football, where we put guys in situations and say, go play, to try to put them in those situations that you can't simulate sometimes in scrimmages. That's a big part of it. But we are excited, very pleased with the all-season conditioning program they've had thus far, and we'll see how that equates to 85 degree weather today.
Kirby, just to go back with the offensive line, do you have an idea of what you're going to open camp with, and just further expand on how often that might rotate, and what you hope to see out of that group?
Well, I hope to see a lot of guys that have been in the background come to the forefront. I mean, obviously we've got a group coming in the fall that's not currently here that we think will provide depth and provide competition. We'd love to have some of those guys here right now, but we don't. So as it begins today, Lamont's going to start out. He's going to play the center position. Dashawn will work in there. Isaiah Wynn will work at tackle, although he'll keep swinging and doing the things he's done in the past. That right guard spot is really just completely up for grabs. We'll have somebody out there today. It may be Solomon. It may be Ben Cleveland. We'll have some guys rolling there at that right guard spot. And then right tackle, Violent's going to start out there with DeMarcus Hayes working with the other group. But obviously, there's a lot of guys that Pat Allen has had a good offseason. Sam Madden's had a better offseason. So we're hoping that those guys, Chris Barnes is a guy we're going to look at, and he's going to play a little center. Dashawn will play a little center. Dashawn's the one guy that we feel like has played all three positions in practices, so he'll continue to do that. But it'll be musical chairs, and there'll be a lot of guys involved in that. Sage will be involved in that as well.
And keeping that thing, get the bad out of the way first, we really haven't heard from you on the reasons that Tracy Rocker was dismissed. Now we know that it was a termination. And then obviously tell us what you can about Trey Scott and whether we might have a chance to meet him.
Yeah, with Rocker, that's usually a personnel issue, which I chose to keep in-house. With Trey, looking forward, excited about what Trey's been able to do. He brings a lot of energy to our team, enthusiasm to the practices. Trey's a guy that I've known for a while now, and I think he does a great job. And he'll continue to develop our young defensive line, and we'll continue to move forward with him. We're very pleased with what he's done in the offseason, the energy he's brought to the conditioning program.
Obviously some attrition at the quarterback spot in terms of depth with both Bryce and then we hear the news about Parker. Any ideas in terms of how you guys are going to roll with that in the spring? Like maybe do you bump a guy over there to get some looks?
Bump a guy. No, we got 3 quarterbacks in the spring. I mean, obviously those 3 guys will be working. Sam will be working with Jacob and Jake, and we're excited about the work that we've been able to get in with them right now through meetings. They've been doing some 7-on-7 on their own. Biggest concern there, yeah, we have depth issues. We got some really good preferred type walk-on guys coming in the fall. We don't have another signee obviously coming in. That's something that we've got to address in the upcoming year's recruiting class. But from a standpoint of development or arms, I'm more concerned about being able to get functionality in practice when you have 3 quarterbacks. We don't really have a person to move over there. We got a couple guys who played high school quarterback, but they play other positions for us now, and we don't want to sacrifice that. So we'll continue to work the way we got those 3 guys. They'll get a lot of work. That's the good thing. And we'll probably have some help out there with us just to throw balls and get some things done.
Yeah, Kirby, obviously a lot of people, particularly on the outside, measure things in terms of wins and losses. If you win, everything worked. If you lost, nothing worked. As the most insight of the people in this building, can you compare where you are right now this spring compared to where you were going in the spring last year, sort of quantify the differences?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to quantify where you are now compared to then. I do think from a standpoint of our system, we're in a much better place. Because you can imagine this time last year, defense had a little carryover, probably 60 to 75% carryover, but offensively, there was a lot of new terminology. So I feel like the carryover is much better, being that Jacob's in year 2, it's his 2nd time hearing a lot of things. There's some changes within those things that we're gonna do different this spring to try to challenge him and the rest of the offense to pick things up and be able to play in space and make some plays in space. But when it comes to wins and losses or quantifying this guy to that guy, it's really hard to judge until you go out on that field and you have practices. You know, you see where they are right now as compared to where they were against TCU.
And sorry, just as a quick follow-up, as you sort of reflected, obviously there's self-evaluation, but as you reflected on your first year, was there anything in particular that stood out to you, or something that worked or didn't work, or I thought we could zig when we should have zagged, or whatever?
Well, I certainly don't think we're as productive on the special teams as we should have been. I don't think that we had, based on our talent level, to be where we were, we've got to evaluate and say, okay, are we kicking it high enough? Are we kicking it far enough? Did we punt it well enough? Did we cover it right? I think you're always trying to be introspective about those units, but when the stats come up that don't lie, you've got to work on that area. That's the part that I think the biggest improvement's got to be shown, and obviously offensively scoring more points and being able to score in the red area is critical.
Kirby, what's Marshall Long's availability this spring, and the transfer from Columbia, what do you expect he'll bring, and then anything on the specialist that you can show, the kickers, I mean?
Yeah, Marshall will be out there. He's not cleared to kick in 11-on-11 situations. We think by the end of spring he'll be punting, but we don't know if he'll be punting in a competitive environment. And then Cameron, we're excited about. I haven't really been able to see him do anything yet. Today will be our first chance to see him kick. Talking about the transfer. We'll have a couple other guys out there competing as well. We plan on putting those guys in a lot of situations to kick in pressure situations, trying to simulate what they would get in the fall. But I am excited to see where the punters are with the guys we've got to see if we can improve as far as distance and hang.
Kirby, a quick 2-part question. First off, Nicole Hart, would you anticipate seeing any snaps on offense? And number 2, as far as the star position goes with Miles and Logan, who are you going to be looking at that position this spring?
Yeah, really good questions. Miko, we have a plan for. We want to get some offensive snaps and be able to expose him to some of the concepts, but it won't be early in spring. We're committed to continue to develop him as a corner. He's a guy that's going to be working mostly in our 2 deep with our depth at DB with some of the guys that left. So we need him there. We need him to develop there, and we'll find out in the fall when we get some more depth in how much we need him versus offense. But you know, with spring, you have an ability to meet a little longer, and that's what I talk about with sustainable focus. Guys like Miko, can they handle extra meeting time at another position so that they can learn what to do and develop, so we can maybe utilize some of the skills. We're certainly going to try to do that in the return game. So if we can do that in the return game, it may carry over to the offensive side. As far as star, it's going to be done by committee as well, because we think in the secondary we've got quite a few guys coming back. We've got a couple guys with a lot of experience in secondary. It doesn't necessarily mean they're great players, but they've got a lot of experience. They've played for a long time here. So we're going to have a person, you know, the star position is unique in college football. That's become a starter. That's become I think Mo played 80-something% of our snaps last year. So he might be playing more than every D lineman on our team. But you need a big physical body out there because so many of the plays are on the perimeter. So we're going to have several guys. Tyreek McGee work there. He'll continue to work there. D'Angelo Gibbs will work there. Richard LeCount will work there. we're gonna have several guys, or even Malcolm Parrish will go in there and go somewhere. So we try to teach things by concept and not specific to a position, so that guys can interchange, and we'll do that this spring.